So I'm going to start with you, Cynthia.
Yes.
You are quite the accomplished actor and performer. You're a Tony Award winner for The Color Purple. You're an Oscar nominee for Harriet, both as actress and for Best Song. Now a second-time Golden Globe nominee, most recently for this film. You attended the London Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. But before I ask you about the film, you started your academic career studying musical psychology.
Yes.
What is that?
It is the study of the way in which music can affect the mind and the psyche based on your social standing and sometimes your economic placement. Yeah.
And how did that sort of affect how you thought about music? Because you shifted your focus after that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's interesting because now my focus is sort of moving back there as well because I'm curious about how music affects us and what it does to us. And I was always curious about it, but I think I went towards it because I didn't really know how to become this. And then I had some guidance.
Right. Yeah.
But what it allowed me to do is sort of understand that music is intrinsically linked to how we feel and can affect the way we respond to things and the way we respond to our surroundings. So say, for instance, this is very, very layman's. If you hear a song that has a major key and is in the major key, even if the lyric is sad, you're inclined to feel good. And if a song is written in a minor key, even if the lyric is happy, you're inclined to feel sad.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I've just learned something this evening. Thank you so much for that. Prior to being in the film, what space did Wicked occupy in your world?
So when I was 20 years old, I was at drama school and I felt very, very odd. I didn't really feel like I fit in. And on those days where I felt sort of strange and odd and not really fitting and a little sad and a little bit upset, a friend of mine who spotted me right at the beginning of our school time would be like, do you want to go to a piano room and we'll sit and we'll sing? And he would pick the libretto and it was always Wicked. So we would learn the music. I had never seen the show before. So by the time the course at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts is 3 years. So from the age of 20 to 23, I had learnt the music of Wicked.
Wow,
unknowingly.
that's amazing.
And I wouldn't see the show until I was 25.
Right.
So
you took yourself on a date, right?
I took myself on a solo date for my birthday.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The most Elphaba thing I've ever heard.
So Elphaba.
In my life.
Meta. It's ridiculous.
It's true.
So Elphaba. Yeah. That's how it occupied my life. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ariana, you were also on Broadway at a very young age, appearing in the musical 13 before heading to Victorious on Nickelodeon. You have multiple awards, including 2 Grammys, a Golden Globe nomination recently. You have sold nearly 90 million albums worldwide, and I know, newsflash. And I know that you frequently talked about playing Glinda throughout the years. What made this musical so important to you?
I think I had never seen anything like it. You know, I always joke that I knew my life in 2 chapters, before seeing Wicked and after seeing Wicked. And it's really true. You know, I was 10 years old the first time I got to see the original Broadway cast. And it was just the most inspiring thing that had ever happened to me. I remember the infectious laughter that Glinda, you know, inspired in the audience. And I remember seeing how this friendship was so loving. And I remember the scene from Popular and how it moved me so much. And just falling absolutely in love with these characters and their sisterhood and the music. And much like Cynthia in drama school, the music became a really safe space for me. Like when I would be nervous to do a concert or do a show or had to warm up my voice to sing, I would sing Wicked instead of instead of warm-ups. I would just sing the soundtrack, and it would always calm me down and help me warm up. And it was always a part of my life in that way. And I loved the music, and I loved Glinda, but loving her as a fan has been very different than becoming her and loving her as an actress and a friend to her.
Right. Yeah. And as yourself, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You saw the musical originally with your grandmother, and you saw it and she's 99 now, I believe.
She's 99.
And you saw it in a movie theater with her recently, and that must have been such a full circle moment for you.
Yeah, it was really emotional. You know, she was 14 when The Wizard of Oz came out.
Wow.
So to be able to hold her hand and be in Oz, like, and show her in our home theater, like where I grew up going to the theater in Boca Raton, Florida at Cinemark. It used to be called Movico, but now it's Cinemark. And to go to the theater that I grew up going to every single weekend and to hold her hand and be able to show her this, it was really, really special. And it was really hilarious because she loved it, of course, and she was very excited by all the musical numbers and everything. But the thing that really, she vocally was like, oh my God, was the sugar glider that plays the drums in the Ozdust Ballroom. She literally was like, she literally goes, oh, I love that. And yeah, I was like, wow, me too.
That's awesome. John made everyone go through a robust audition process. And did he happen to tell you folks why it was so important to him, why that the audition process had to happen? Or was that something you discussed in your auditions?
I think we came to find out a little bit afterwards. He kept saying that he was waiting for people to come in and take the role from his hands. But that's as far as I know, because I don't know.
Yeah. What did you ladies sing in your auditions, respectively? We'll start with you.
Defying Gravity, The Wizard and I, For Good. And for some reason, I feel like I've placed in my mind, but I don't think it's true, No Good Deed. But we worked on a lot of scene work too. My audition was about 3 hours. It's not a wow compared to what she has to do. It's not wow.
It's a wow. It's a wow. It can be a wow.
It was 3 hours. Mine was essentially like a camera test. I was working with two different actresses, so I was there for the first hour and a half with one actress, and there for another hour and a half with another actress, and we worked through all those songs and did some scene work together. Yeah.
Ariana, I know you auditioned. You sang both parts. There was a little bit of a mix-up about what part
No.
No?
Well, I was in all pink. I don't think there was much of a mix-up.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. But no, I did have multiple rounds of auditions. I was so thankful for that. I was so excited to do the work and to show up and to get a call back and then to get a screen test. I was like, absolutely, please, yes, more and more auditions. Because I think something like Wicked has to be earned. You know, it's something that means so much to so many people. And these women are so layered and they require so much. Yeah, I was thankful every time I had the chance to audition. But in my first audition, they had me sing for both roles, but it was very clear what was happening. And I even had my team check, but okay, I'm Glinda, you know, I'm Glinda. And they were like, no, we know, but they just would like to hear. So for my first audition, I sang The Wizard and I, Defying Gravity, No One Mourns the Wicked and Popular, a few times in each. And then for my callback, it was clear that I was Glinda, you know, duh. And to them, to me, it was clear the whole time. But half my closet was already pink. And then I sang more of Glinda stuff, and then my final callback was a chemistry test. It was with one actress for an hour and a half and another actress for an hour and a half. And neither of them were Cynthia, so we were so grateful.
We didn't test together at all.
When we fell in love.
Yeah.
And everything was great.
And the first time you sang together, it was at John's house, right?
Yes.
With the composer playing on the piano.
That's right.
Stephen Schwartz,
And
yeah.
you have very different styles and voices. How did that meld together when you were first exploring that with each other?
The same way a duck would take to water. It was very, very, very symbiotic. Neither one of us had sung with each other before, and we did not rehearse. We just sang, and somehow our voices worked. And that's a really special thing. Like, I have to explain to you that in order to sing with another person, for it to feel like your one voice, it means both of you have to be listening to each other, not yourselves. So for us to be able to do that without having done it before meant that something special was really happening with our voices and us. It meant that we were prepared to listen to each other, full stop. it's very, very vulnerable to have to sing with a person and in front of a person, and somehow we were both willing to be that vulnerable with each other and follow where the other led and lead where the other might follow. And that's sort of what happened the first time. We did For Good the first time we sang together, and it worked. Yeah.
What did the rehearsal process look like for this film? Like, how long was the rehearsal process, and how long, when did that start, and when did that end, and when did you launch into the movie?
We started rehearsals for us, we kind of started immediately. We knew in 2021 that we were playing the characters, and so we had our scripts, we were working on them. Yeah, the work was happening for sure. But then we started official rehearsals August 2022 and started shooting in December 2022. So we had that sort of wonderful time where, for the first couple of weeks, we were just in John's office, sat on the floor, reading through scenes and just figuring out what the rhythm of these two women were and what we wanted to bring out of them. Before we started getting on a set, I threw myself into stunt training, and
I was with Chris Scott.
You were with Chris
learning
Scott,
popular and dancing through life.
So we were both really physically thrown into it as well. Yeah.
Right. And Ariana, for you, you did a lot of vocal training to sort of. You have a beautiful soprano voice, you're welcome. But you had to do some training to bring it to more of the musical theater side of things. So what did that look like for you?
Well, I have a high voice, but it's different than a coloratura soprano, classical operatic placement. And the way my voice usually functions is not anywhere near what Glinda's throat does. So just like any other muscle in the body, I have to train it. And for 2 to 3 months before my very first audition, I trained every day with my vocal coach, Eric Vitro, to try and achieve a more authentic, warm, classical sound especially for No One Mourns the Wicked. And it kind of had a ripple effect, and it impacted everything, my speaking voice, and it helped me find Glinda's speaking voice, and so on and so forth. But just lots of training, and yeah.
And you guys were singing live on set. Was that the intention the entire time?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what moment for you when you were singing on set was most important for you to nail? Because there's such physicality that comes with singing those songs. Mm-hmm. Like, how many takes could you really get through when you felt like you could really deliver a song? I know when you rehearse for stage, there's a lot of rehearsal and doing things over and over again, but how much power did that take from you?
It takes quite a bit of power, but I think we were both really prepared to do as many takes as was necessary. Mm-hmm. And neither one of us really...
We loved it.
Yeah, we kind of threw ourselves right into it, and physically it takes a lot, mm-hmm. But you need the support. So Joe McLaren and our stunts team made sure that I could actually be in the flies and fly at the same time when singing. So we had to rehearse, we had to practice that so that my body could get used to what that felt like, so that when Antea Bachette, my vocal coach, came in, then we could figure out how to work stunts and vocal work together, which is I see your face.
I imagine the breathing part of that was you
yes.
have to sort of rearrange how you focus your breath.
Yes, because when I was in the wires, you would have a harness and a corset on at the same time. So to do something like Defying Gravity meant that you had to find the air. You don't have your diaphragm. A diaphragm is where the sound and the power can come from. And when you're in a harness and a corset, you can't use your diaphragm because it's impossible. So you send the air up into, I will do this. I'm so sorry. This is the geeky part of me. Forgive me. So
we're a bunch of nerds, so go for it.
Okay, thank you. So when you sing, you are supposed to use your diaphragm. When you don't have your diaphragm, you have to find out where the air goes. Now your lungs usually provide the space for the oxygen and air. But if you're in the air and you're constrained by a corset, that also is
And
quite difficult.
flying.
And flying, yes, because you need to use your breath to fly. So you send it up into the higher part of your lungs, but that's a shallow breath and it doesn't give you enough power. So we have to remember at that point that your lungs are confined by ribs that expand towards your back and your sides. So now you have to use the entire capacity of your lungs, which is the front and back and sides. But you have to remind yourself, because sometimes we don't use that space. So when you're in the air and you don't have the ground, which is what you need usually when you're making a large sound, you kind of have to use the muscles in your body to create a ground that doesn't exist and send the breath up into the higher part of your body and into your back to make the sound.
I'm exhausted already. That's amazing. So this film could have been a straight-up screen adaptation, stage to screen adaptation, which is more of a song-to-song approach, like in the original Broadway musical. But instead, John worked with the screenwriters and chose to add elements from the book and dive deeper into some of the film's themes. How did that impact your acting choices, playing the characters? Maybe we start, Ariana, with you.
Well, I think it was such a privilege. I mean, it's such a beautiful opportunity to get to know these women even deeper and, and allow the stage show to exist in its perfect form as it is, and let this be something completely separate and new. And this can now be a new Elphaba and a new Glinda. And we can read between the lines. We can use a close-up to say things without saying them. And I think that, it was extraordinarily done. I mean, Winnie Holtzman and Dana Fox, and the added material in part 1 and part 2. It's just it really adds a lot of value. And I, as a fan of all things Ozian, I just feel like it's such a privilege to be able to know these characters even more, It's yeah.
Yeah, no, there's nothing else to add to that except the idea that we have more scope on these women, that you get to dig a little bit deeper, lift the veil away and find out what their inner lives are like, gives us the chance to, when we do get to those songs, to really fill them, because you understand what they've already been through to get to the place where you sing. Often when you start singing, it's because there's nothing else left to say. You can't, the thing that comes out of the mouth when you're singing is more than the emotion that you can convey when you speak. Right. So now that we have all the words we need and all that action before, there is nothing else left but to sing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as performers, was there an aspect of your character that wasn't easy to find? And it was more of a journey, whether it was a specific song or an element of who the characters were at their core. Can you think of anything?
I kind of think the both of us are very like our characters.
Yeah. Okay. And you can fly.
So, well,
yeah.
I like flying.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'll say, I in the beginning for Glinda, when she's a little bit less aware, I'll say that because I love her. I have to be kind to her because I love her. I'll say it was a challenge for me to kind of protect her as much as possible. Like when it comes to giving Elphaba the hat, I wanted to kind of bring a little bit of humanity to that moment and let you see a tiny glimpse of regret, of I love her. I want to protect her. So I think that was a hard thing to balance for me because yes, she's kind of has been brought up in a bubble, but
literally and figuratively, yeah.
But for me, I still really wanted to find the things that made her human and lovable, and her insecurities and her traumas, and maybe why does she rely on the approval of others and being liked and popular? To find those things so that you could love her. Yeah.
I think for me, like, it's not necessarily something that I struggled to find in her, but I think it's something that I had to find a little bit bravery to show of myself. I'm not necessarily the most vulnerable person. I don't always wear my heart on my sleeve, or if I do, I sort of put it in a little cage and hide it and protect it. And Elphaba needs her vulnerability right beneath the surface. So I think I was given the permission to really open up a little bit more and allow who I am as a person that can be vulnerable to come to the surface. You have to feel really safe to do that. So, you know, when you get to a scene like the Ozdust and you know you're very, very exposed, you have to be sure that people will also be kind when it's happening, because you know, that's the most vulnerable, exposing thing to have to share, because those things have to be filled with the experiences that you've had already in your lifetime to put in front of people. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. Pablo Hellman, one of our visual effects supervisors.
Pablo!
we love you, Pablo.
He's over there!
He's right there.
So he said something in an interview. I watched one of your interviews, Pablo, and he talked about breaking out of the proscenium that you see on stage, right? And how films can have that additive effect. And I wonder if going from being influenced by the musical on stage to being in the film, you saw a little bit of freedom or exploration that you could do. And you talked a little bit about that, Ariana. So did that give you more freedom than you had seen on stage?
I think it does. I think we're very lucky when we get to be in front of a screen and be in front of a camera, because we know that the camera can come within inches of your face and see right into your eyes, and you don't necessarily have that luxury when you're on a stage. You really do have the pros, and sometimes you might have the traverse, but you can't get that close. So you do have to send some things up and out when you're on a stage, but when you're in front of a camera, things really can be internal, which in a way sounds like there isn't more freedom, but actually it gives you, that's an immense freedom to be able to emote and to be able to, even the smallest thought gets to be seen, because you can be this intimate, or you can be this grand, or everything is being caught. When on stage you don't necessarily get that luxury. Yeah.
What about for you, Ariana?
Yeah, I think that's also one of the greatest joys about working with John Chu. I think in addition to what you can do with the camera lens, working with a director who is so just inspired by freedom, and you know, of course he's very meticulous, and he'll come in with his storyboard and shot by shot list exactly how he envisions it, and then throw it all away and trust us to just be Glinda and Elphaba. And we'll get a take that's exactly like it's written, and then he'll say, what would Glinda do? Like, just go ahead, you know? And I think that kind of safety and freedom is what allows for us to expand upon this material and bring new life to it. And it's really special.
You know, Ariana, you have a wonderful singing voice, but you also have a great facility for comedy.
Thank you.
And what you see in this character, where do you think that comes from?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really just a fan of comedy. Like, I'm really a student of it. I grew up watching the Christopher Guest movies. They were on repeat in my household. Like, literally, one of the first voices I did was Eugene Levy. And I was a child.
You do great imitations.
Thank you very much. No, but I think just being a student of comedy, I remember what an escape it was for me. And I always loved singing very much, but there was something different about making someone laugh, about making my grandparents laugh. I would do stand-up for them in my living room, and I was really young. It was like I was 20. No, I'm kidding. No, but I've always loved it, and I've always been a student of it. You know, Jennifer Coolidge and Catherine O'Hara, Parker Posey, and I don't know, my heroes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And SNL, obsessed. You know.
Yeah, I've seen your Jennifer Coolidge on SNL. It's pretty damn good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cynthia, you've said this film is for anyone who's ever felt alone, and anyone who's ever felt different, and anyone who wanted to change their mind. What do those three tenets mean to you?
I think they're something that I sort of run in my life, because I know, knowing what it feels like to feel alone, knowing what it feels like to be different, and knowing what it feels like to be surrounded by people who will change their minds. And I think sometimes I've had to change my mind, not just about others, but about myself. I think those things are really, really important. I think it's sort of the basis of humanity. For those people who feel alone, at least when hopefully you watch this movie, you know that you're not the only person going through that experience, and therefore are not alone and not by yourself. There are people who understand your experience, and hopefully it will give you enough courage to find others who feel like you, and those who feel different. Hopefully you'll see this and realize that the thing that is different about you makes you really special. And maybe might make you fly. And, you know, and the thing, if you see something that you don't quite understand or you don't recognize, or, you know, makes you feel a little uncomfortable, but you know it's not bad, but not something that you recognize, well, maybe that's a moment where you can change your mind and go, well, maybe I can reach out and see someone different and connect with someone different and learn something new.
Yeah. Or find something different in yourself in that
That's
connection.
right.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
I've seen several people say that the film has made them cry.
Mm.
But a lot of them don't explain why. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on that. And I'll start with you, Ariana.
I think there are pieces of ourselves, and I mean everyone, that you can identify in both of these women. You know, I think it is very, very human. I think that's why this movie feels as emotional as it does, is because we live in a time when people are so quick to label something or boil something down to a judgment or whatever it is, and or to strip humanness or context from a situation just so that we can project onto it, or make ourselves feel better by putting something else or someone else down, vilifying, you know, the Wicked Witch of the West. She's the fucking coolest person ever. You know, it's like, it's strange. We live during this time when that's what we do. And I think this movie displays just how nuanced the human experience is, and how much we all just deeply crave love and friendship and to be accepted as who we are. And that comes in many different forms. That is what Elphaba is going through, and that is what Glinda is going through. And I think it pulls on the heartstrings, because I think that's something we are all experiencing right now in some form or another. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No.
It's your stage.
No. It's Cynthia's turn. No. I took up way too much. That was long-winded. I'm good.
No, if you had something else to say, go ahead.
No, I'm really good. I'm good. I feel good about it. I'm gonna sip of water. I'm good. It's Cynthia's turn, please.
All right.
I promise. It's good. That's it.
Okay. I think the thing that makes people cry is I think something about music connects to the heart. It allows people to be deeply vulnerable. So when you're watching us sing, you are inevitably watching some of the deepest parts of ourselves. And within the characters, you're watching this journey that we're going on, but not just as the characters, but Cynthia and Ari are also going on a journey with these women and finding pieces of themselves within these characters. And it's being reflected back at you. All we are really as human beings are reflections of each other. So what you're watching are two very honest reflections of yourselves. And some of that may, pull at the heartstring and tug at the small voice in your brain that says, oh, I recognize that, I see something of myself in that. And sometimes there's just realizations of who we are, or things that we've been missing, or things that we haven't addressed. And the tears are simply a reminder to maybe address them and face them and say hello to them and maybe change some things.
Can I tell you why it made me cry? Mm-hmm. It made me cry because at the end, Elphaba decides that the power that she has, she's not going to use it for herself. that she's going to use it for other people who need it. And there's a choice that's made that is so much bigger than an individual. And I thought that was really beautiful. Before we get into the last question, I just want to quickly tell our audience if you guys could stay seated when these folks are leaving, because they've got a beautiful plane to catch after this last question. But in looking across this stage, I see some theater nerds. So my final question for you revolves around that premise. When you were young, was there something that you heard or felt that inspired you to fall in love with performing? Was there a musical or a song that turned on a light when you were a kid? Feel free to hum a few bars. But if so, what was it?
The hills are alive with the sound of music, the songs they have sung for 1,000 years. And then, because I was obsessed with Barbra Streisand, on a clear day, you can see forever. And that's kind of my thing. Barbra, can you hear me? Those are the things. And I just was like, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Ariana?
Not to be too on the nose,
Be on the nose.
but it's the truth. It's my honest answer. Mine was somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Your turn.
What was yours?
I got 36 expressions sweet as pie to tough as leather, and that's 6 expressions more than all them barrels put together. Instead of just kicking me, why don't they give me a lift? Must be a plot, because they're scared that I got such a gift.
That made my day.
So good.
Oh my goodness. That made my day.
Well, thank you very much for being so wicked cool.
I'm so
Thank
pleased.
you.
I'm endlessly pleased by this. This was delightful. Nobody has done that.
I'm never going to hear the end of it. Thank you so much for coming.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.